turtle doves is one of those sounds that I didn't know I'd lost from my childhood memories until I heard it again. And they're just one of the species that we're breeding for reintroduction based here at Rewilding Coombeshead.
We have a flock of 60 birds here, migratory species of course, which we will release out into the rewilded area. They should have 3 months to nest and breed and rear some youngsters. We're going to feed the birds heavily right the way through their first year. And the turtle dove's a bird that has declined incredibly throughout its European range for different reasons. You know, it's landscape change again, but it's definitely overhunting, you know, on the flyways in countries like Malta, North Africa, Corsica, where they try to come back to Europe in reasonable number. So they're also a bird that needs a landscape which is variable, so a scrubby landscape full of old farm fields with weed seedlings, bits of kale, bits of mangle there, bits of oats for the horses, was what turtle doves really liked. Now, white storks, they have a strong attraction to the place of their birth. So where they're hatched for them is home. To re-establish a species that migrates in Britain, what you need to have are creatures that think they belong here. Because when these things are hatched or born or laid, the things that come out have to have a sat-nav chip in their head that says, "We are from here." So if we can create a captive population of young black storks, and to do this, to have anything meaningful, you need to have about 10 pairs, you know, producing a couple of chicks a year, and then you get 20 young birds, and that might just work.
I'd just like to take a moment just to talk to you a little bit about how you can join us on this journey for nature restoration at Rewilding Coombeshead. Now, there's a number of ways you can partake. You can become a member where you can keep up to date with all the progress on our projects. You can come and stay with us in person, join us in our training or our big events that we run in our fabulous Strawdatorium event barn. Or you can adopt an animal, and here you can follow it from birth or hatching right through until release. So please visit the website www.rewildingcoombeshead.co.uk and join us on this nature recovery journey.
So the habitat is still here for wildcats. We've had a number of experts come to have a look at the deciduous woodlands and the landscape in southern Britain, from Switzerland, from Germany, and from Holland, you know, all of whom know and understand wildcats very well. And they're very confident that if we put sufficient cats back into southern England, then this species will prosper and do well.
Beavers are a species that we don't strictly breed, but what we do is we help translocate families. So in conjunction with the Beaver Trust, beavers that are perhaps causing problems, perhaps they're coming into conflict with farmers, then the Beaver Trust trap them and bring them to us. We hold them until the whole family's back together again and they can be relocated to a safe location.
For the last couple of years, we've been captive breeding glowworms. So these are one of it's the female beetles that glow, and they're one of these things that most people who live in the countryside remember with great fondness. They can recall, you know, walking up country lanes in the dark and the summer months, and all these little twinkling lights accompanying their journey, you know, along the hedge side. And they basically just faded as hedge flails have come, as herbicides have come, as pesticides have come, both directly implied and wind blown, and all the little lights have gone out. We developed a methodology for captive breeding glowworms, which has been very effective. This year we intend to produce several thousand larvae for reintroduction projects throughout southern Britain. In addition to that, we are captive breeding another incredibly rare species in Britain, the mole cricket. It's a large subterranean cricket. It excavates a ball of soil underground, the size of a cup-sized tennis ball, and then the males cut a kind of trumpet back up to ground level, go back down underground, and start to sing in the ball. The trumpet amplifies their calls, and the females come flying in and are then mated.
So the Species Recovery Centre is not only based at Rewilding Coombeshead here in Devon, we also have satellite sites across the country. Now, sometimes we want to spread our flocks to give us resilience, perhaps in case of disease, but also sometimes we need to go where the talent is. And that's true in the case of OC aviaries in Staffordshire.
Hello, I'm Oliver Crowther. I'm a conservation aviculturalist and I'm currently in charge of Keep It Wild's Twite conservation project. If you aren't familiar with the twite as a species, they are a small little brown bird native to the British Isles. We have our own endemic subspecies known as the Pipperland's twite, and back in the 1960s and earlier there were hundreds of thousands of these birds, if not millions of them, in the uplands around Britain. But now in England at least there is 12 birds left, and in Scotland there is only several thousand. So there has been a huge population decrease over the past 50 years. I've been breeding twite for a number of years, but in 2024 it was the first year of the conservation project. We began the spring with 6 adult pairs. We then ended the summer with 20 young birds, which was fantastic news. We already hit a number of milestones, which we was really pleased with. We had a number of the birds nesting on the floor in the undergrowth as they would normally do in the wild. They were all fantastic parents and things were going very, very well for them. So much so that we needed more space. So over the winter months, I built all of these aviaries in this large cabin, and this is where we are housing all of the twites for the 2025 breeding season, which is already off to a flying start. Twite begin breeding from early May, so it is just the start of the breeding season here up in Derbyshire. But behind me, we have just welcomed our first chicks. So the first chicks hatched literally 2 hours ago, and the mother is already feeding them. She's doing a fantastic job, and I anticipate that very many more will follow soon. Out of the 12 females we have for this spring, 7 of them have already built nests and or laid eggs. So things are looking very positive for year 2. Additionally, to develop more avicultural skills and knowledge, we have a pair of European turtle doves in the aviary behind me, and hopefully these birds will go into the conservation programmes with Keep It Wild Trust, or at least their offspring will once they begin to breed.
We've talked about the Species Recovery Centre, but Keep It Wild also safeguards land for nature. With the help from generous donors, we've been able to secure species-rich hay meadows and water meadows as seed banks for future generations. And now we've got the chance to acquire the most magnificent piece of land called Beaver Mill. Here's Chris to talk about it.
No one likes living with regrets. And we live in a time where we can ill afford any more regrets, particularly when it comes to looking after our natural world. This place has had 30 years of love. Love for everything that creeps, crawls, slithers, slimes and stings. It is a little oasis in one of the most nature-depleted set of countries anywhere in the world. This is a treasure. It's a treasure that we should do everything we can to save. Please contribute as generously as you're able in these tough times to our crowdfunder.